Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Solving Standard. I am here with a Bant Golos ramp. So technically it's 5 colors because you're playing Golos, but all of the other cards are Bant. It's a ramp deck. Bryan Gottlieb won the Fandom Casters tournament with this list, so I'm playing his list. And it's been pretty popular on Arena. Let's talk about some of the card choices. So we've got 4 copies of Arboreal Grazer. That might seem like a lot because the card really isn't super impactful by itself, but it does put another land onto the battlefield. That's the important part about the Grazer. Once Upon a Time, this is probably the biggest addition to the deck because we're playing 28 lands, and this can find... Sometimes we need to have an excess amount of lands, so we need to have a lot of lands. Sometimes Once Upon a Time can find a land, or it can find you a business spell, and you see that there are some pretty impactful creatures in the deck to be able to also find with Once Upon a Time. So that's what makes it so good, is the flexibility of the card. You're also fine with hard casting it later in the game. The lands in this deck, there's a lot of really relevant ones. Growth Spiral, of course, the best blue-green accelerator in this type of deck. Krasis is one of your big spells, one of your payoff cards. Once we have a lot of lands, this is going to be one of the primary tools we're going to be using to close out the games. Teferi Time Raveler. So being able to go Bant, a big part of that is to be able to gain access to Teferi Time Raveler. One of, if not the best card in the entire format. Just always going to be good if you're in the blue and white colors. You're pretty much always going to be playing this. Circuitous Route. We have a gate package and some regular lands, so this just does some good work. Being able to find basics or gates. And the gates are the splash lands, so we'll see we have some red and black gates we can potentially find off Circuitous Route, because we want to have access to the ability to activate Golos Tireless Pilgrim later in the game, and this allows us to have access to that. 4 copies of Realmcloak Giant. So you'll see the card, you'll see Cast Off being the adventure here to destroy all non-giants, which can be relevant because there are some giants in the format, but this is just a sweeper that we can find off Once Upon a Time, which is a big deal, and it's also a win condition. So it's a 2-in-1 type card. Adventure. This adventure card just works really well with what this deck is trying to accomplish. So yeah, 28 lands in the deck. You'll see a lot of different ones because there's 4 copies of Field of the Dead. That is the main win condition, is going to be just having Field of the Deads in play and getting a bunch of zombies with them. So you'll see a bunch of 1 and 2 of lands, including some gates, some scry lands, some life gain lands, some basics, even a Castle Vantress. So the mana base is pretty cool, and the deck is pretty straightforward. As you can see, it's all 4 ofs, besides the mana base. Then when we look at the sideboard, we've got... This is where things get a little bit more interesting. There's a few more cards, spots to play with. We know Veil of Summer is nice against the Thought Erasure style decks. Aether Gust is good against those green and red decks. Negate could be good against a few different strategies. Deputy of Detention And this is just a very these are just very versatile cards, right? Negate, Deputy. Unmoored Ego is more specific against combo decks. Cards looking for a specific thing to win the game. Normally, you would want Unmoored Ego for that situation. Knight of Autumn. So, yeah, there's some artifacts and enchantments out there that you would be worried about with this deck. Which is the main place I would want to board in the Knight of Autumn. Time Wipe. An additional removal spell to go along with your mass removal to go along with your Realm Cloak Giants. Same with the Planar Cleansing and other mass removal. And then a March of the Multitudes. A nice big spell to be able to close out games with. So that's the sideboard. Alrighty, let's go ahead and jump in. Ooh, I'm actually playing against Savitz here. That's pretty sweet. We're going to keep this. We have our base 3 colors of mana. Which is a pretty good start. And if we're able to cast these circuitous routes, we'll be in good shape. Well, should we use this right now is the question, because we don't actually know what we're looking for yet. I'm just gonna play this gate because I want to see what our next draw is before casting it. Alright, so we didn't draw a land, we found a Krasis, so now we actually do need another land. So I'm going to take this Field of the Dead. And that's a good lesson to learn with Once Upon a Time, is to not always just immediately play it as soon as you have the opportunity to. Solar Blaze. That's interesting. So we've got 6 different lands at this point. Alright, so they're on the Fires deck. See what our opponent can do with this. Now, the Narset is pretty bad news for us. Fires of Invention into a Drawn from Dreams. That is... Whew, that's not a good feeling. Don't like that. We're just gonna get another Field of the Dead here with Golos. Certainly not really interested in playing this Krasis because our opponent has Narset in play. Now, the Golos does not die to Solar Blaze, notably. The zombies die to a Clarion or to the Solar Blaze, so the zombies are actually easier to kill here than the Golos. But that's a lot of cards that he's got access to right now, which is pretty worrisome. So there goes the Fae of Wishes. For a lava coil. That's interesting. Wouldn't have necessarily expected that to be the choice. Also really not sure what we're supposed to do here. We can kill Narset, which is what I'm going to do.
We still have much to learn.
I guess if we Crisis, we kind of force the Solar Blaze to be used. But I'm also a little bit worried about Golos dying. I'm just going to activate Golos. I want the value out of it right now. Well, there's a Field of the Dead. So, one reason to not play a land there is so that we're able to get this field out onto the battlefield. We are going to lose these two lands, which is pretty relevant. But our opponent, I mean, he didn't really do that much on that last turn, so we're waiting to kind of make some of these sweepers get cast. Alright, well, Niv Mizzet is bad news. That is really bad news. Although we can Realm Cloak Giants to sweep these creatures away. Or we can Teferi Bounce. Also a reasonable option. Niv Mizzet. Niv Mizzet, Niv Mizzet, Niv Mizzet. We could even activate Golos. It's not that unreasonable to make that play. Let's go ahead and do the Realm Cloak Giant. And then we can Circuitous Route. I'm not sure if this was correct, though. not confident on it. I'm just gonna hold this other gate in my hand. Alright, so we made him use the solar blaze. That's a start.
You will feel the magnificence.
So we have 4, 6. Can play this Crisis for 9. Wow, he's just going to concede to that. That is somewhat surprising, I think, but I guess, sure. I'll take it. Not actually sure how this matchup is supposed to go. Alright, well, he's just gonna concede there. Not the best first match to start, but Savit's very competent player. Sorry about not getting a full match, but I'll make sure to get. I won't count that towards my match count, so get some more full matches here. Not sure I like Niv Mizzet in the Fires deck. Just because you can only cast 2 spells a turn, can't actually like go crazy with it. There's not that many instants and sorceries, but I don't know. That deck looked really interesting, what he was playing. I think we keep this because we have Once Upon a Time. And we're going to gamble... We're going to gamble that can find us our green mana. Alright, well, we already found the green, so that's lucky. Let's just go ahead and Once Upon a Time. Alright, I'm going to grab this temple. Gives us our blue mana. So we can go Grazer, Trigger, play Temple. Don't think we want Golgari Guildgate. It's not a bad card to have a land, because we need a bunch of lands for field, but feel we can do a little bit better, potentially. And this turn we'll just be Growth Spiraling. So we want to be able to use this Realm Cloak Giant as soon as possible, I think. But since we don't have a guaranteed untapped land, I'm just gonna take this. We can use Teferi to buy us a little bit of time.
Slow this down.
I'm just gonna bounce the token
I'll protect you.
because our opponent has the Lovestruck Beast, and we don't want to allow them to attack with it. Since we know we have the ability to use the Realm Cloak Giant, we're going to cast the Cast Off part of the card.
This is hardly my worst defeat.
We're fine with losing our Grazer there. And I love that. I love this animation, by the way, for the Cast Off. It's super sweet, in my opinion. So which land do we play is kind of the question now. We might want an untapped land. For next turn, because we can just simply cast a giant. Although we drew Golos, I think that changes things. Because this gives us our seventh different land. I'm gonna get Fabled Passage, I think, because it's really good with the Field of the Deads. Oh, this was only the sixth different land because we had 2 temples. Sorry, sixth different land. But having the Fabled Passage is still good for us. And I'm fine with making this trade. Because we can sacrifice it. So this is a tough turn. If we go... I think we're going Krasis. I guess if we do Krasis, we can't Krasis for the max though without sacrificing the Fabled Passage, and we kind of want to hold the Fabled Passage. Maybe that makes us want to Once Upon a Time first. Okay, we're gonna get Golos. So this will finally get us the 7th land. Let's get Plaza of Harmony. So now we get these triggers. I could have gotten a black source, by the way. I'm not prioritizing it. Because we have Krasis. Pretty likely to get us there. So now we finally do this. Get the two additional zombies from that Fabled Passage. We're just going to try to kill our opponent. Our opponent hasn't done all that much here. We still have this Graces we can cast. Yeah, let's just cast that. Could have cast it last turn. But we'll cast it here. We want Aether Gust for sure. Our opponent's playing Gruul, so that makes a lot of sense. Time Wipe. Deputy of Detention also, I think, is worthy of potential slot, and possibly Planar Cleansing, although it is triple white. I think we can cut down on Grazers. I'm going to cut one to Fairy. So we're forced to shave some cards in this spot. I'm actually going to go down to 2 Krasis because I think it's going to be pretty easy to win once we stabilize, basically. Have to cut. That's the tricky thing about sideboarding with this deck, is you have to cut something. You do. And cutting cards from a deck with so few spells in it is pretty difficult. I think this is a keeper. But we could get run over. Potential for that to happen, being on the draw. Alright, good. That's good. Our opponent doesn't have a creature there. But we have no Growth Spiral, no Grazer. Which means we cannot accelerate out properly. Yeah, this is starting to get super awkward. We're just gonna die before we get to do anything. I guess I should have played Breeding Pool there instead of Temple Garden. Sometimes it's easy to forget that you have 2 of the same land with this deck, which is what I forgot in the previous game. We did draw Aether Gust, so we're not straight up dead. But it's pretty close. Also, one awkward thing is that our opponent actually has a giant in play. Yeah, that's good. That's good enough. Seen enough here. Don't know that we change anything. I mean, being on the play is huge in a matchup like this. The Realm Cloaks Giants, yeah, they're a little bit awkward against the Giants that our opponent has. So we're hoping that they line up properly, which they would not have that game. I think we're okay keeping here. Probably want a land with the Once Upon a Time. So I'm just going to cast that here. So we can get Temple of Mystery. Yeah, let's do that. Don't want another Realm Cloak Giant. We already have one. So I'm going to hold up Growth Spiral. We are going to need more white mana. I think I'll just put the Hallowed Fountain in. So we're good on white mana. The question is, do I play Deputy here or not? Knowing that we have the Giant in hand for next turn, I don't think so. I'm just going to take the clean 2-for-1 with it. And that way we have the Deputy still in hand for the next play that our opponent makes. I think we just, even though the Lovestruck Beast might not be able to attack, it's just way more powerful than the token. And we're in the spot where we've set up Fabled Passage, being able to get max value because we can play it and then sack it to get an additional token.
Duels are for push notes. Let's just fight.
And we may want to actually just hard cast the Realm Cloak Giant that we used earlier for the cast off. All right, so they get a Lovestruck Beast back. Get to attack us as well. So Circuitous Route. It's an interesting draw. We could just go Field of the Dead, Circuitous Route, get 4 2/2s. Which seems pretty good. So we also have all 5 colors of mana now.
That's the sound of a stampede coming straight at ya.
Have this deputy in case we need it for something. But we want to just be playing conservatively, although we drew this Planner Cleansing. Wiping the board here does not seem bad. Yeah, I mean, I think we cast it.
I'm not finished with you. Not by a long shot.
We'll get a bunch more zombies here off this fabled passage. And we're fine with trading 2 zombies for shifting Ceratops. We can sack the fabled passage. So we haven't needed Golos or Krasis this game to create a pretty commanding
Oh, I look forward to seeing you.
board presence. I think we're gonna win this game fairly easily from
When
here.
I'm finished here, there'll be nothing left but dust.
And play this. Kind of figured our opponent wouldn't have much removal for Deputy because they just have the Shock Giants. Alright, so we're on the draw. And our mana's not great, but we do have 2 copies of Once Upon a Time. I think we can keep. Probably just gonna play the Guild Gate on turn 1. And wait to cast the Once Upon a Time. Okay, we're up against Esper. So we'll see what they take. Probably they'll take the Golos, because we have 2 Growth Spiral, 2 Once Upon a Time. Yeah. Not too surprised there. Alright, well, now I'm gonna Once Upon a Time. Krasis is a nice payoff card. It's either that... I mean, we don't have a payoff card in this hand right now. I think I'll take the Krasis. Considering we drew the Is It Guildgate for turn, that gives us the 2 mana, 2 colors we need for Growth Spiral. Had we not drawn Is It Guildgate, we would have been looking for a blue land for sure. If I saw Island off the Once Upon a Time, I think I would have taken Island. Don't see a reason not to just main phase it. Okay. Dovin's Veto. Sure, you're going to use that on Growth Spiral. I don't know if that's good or bad for us. If we hit a Grazer off the Growth Spiral, our Boro Grazer, we probably would have wanted to play it that turn. So that's the reason why I cast it main phase. If we draw a Grazer, we can go Temple Garden and play it. Similarly, I'm gonna go ahead and main phase this. So we have this Once Upon a Time we can use whenever. Probably end of our opponent's turn or right now because our opponent's casting Teferi. I'm gonna grab the basic land.
Trust me, you'll thank me later.
Although, yeah, the basic's fine.
Don't worry, I got this.
So we play basic island, then we can circuitous route, and we're off to the races pretty much. Because this is going to give us 7 different lands with two of our lands being Field of the Deads, which means 4 zombies. Next turn we can play Krasis as a 6/6, draw 3 more cards. So we're in a good spot, but our opponent has started to set up. They definitely have the dances to be able to kind of go off with these golden eggs in their deck. We know that. But we actually have enough resources to be able to pressure this Teferi, even with those 2 removal spells.
Here goes nothing.
Okay, a Golos for turn. So now the question is, would we rather play a Golos or a Krasis? Both options are quite appealing. I think I'll go with Krasis for right now. Probably for Sakaya's Wrath or something. Alright. Doom Foretold, sure. It's kind of annoying. So we've already got a decent amount of pressure is the thing. Don't know if we want to also put this Golos onto the battlefield, because we know that our opponent might have a Kaya's Wrath. We could just cast Realm Cloak Giant, play a land, and pass. Although I guess then the Realm Cloak Giant just gets hit by a Doom Foretold, so we kind of have to play this Arboreal Crazer this turn no matter what. If we're playing another thing. Alright, I am gonna Golos. Get another Field of the Dead. So the question is, do we play this Forest knowing that we have enough for lethal? So I don't think so. I think we just wait on it. Although I guess they can sack the golden eggs to gain 3 life. So maybe I'm supposed to, but we're playing around a Kaya's Wrath here to some extent. Looks like our opponent doesn't have the Wrath. They just have a bunch of Oath of Kai's, so... We wish we had now played the land, but I still feel really good about this situation. I'd be pretty surprised if there was a way that our opponent could get out of it. So now they're at 7. We could just play the Realm Cloak Giant as fodder for the Doom Foretold. Although I have a feeling our opponent might have topped a Kaya's Wrath anyways. Alright, let's just play this Temple of Mystery. Sure. Because we know that our opponent scryed top with the Temple of Silence, so it's probably either a dance. Okay, it actually was a dance. Our opponent keeps just surviving every single turn here. Alright, let's play Teferi.
I am not going to sit this way.
Bounce here. Graces is pretty great. We have exactly 10 mana, I believe, if I counted correctly. So, could have won this game way earlier. But I don't think we ever have put ourselves in any real danger up to this point. Now, I'm not sure last turn if our opponent had 8 mana. If they did, it would be a little bit odd. Actually, I think our opponent misplayed on the dance. They might not have sacrificed those. I'd have to look at it again. I'm not sure. They might have danced back the maximum amount of enchantments anyway. Either way, we got the win fairly easily. We're gonna board in Knight of Autumn. Gets rid of Doom or the artifacts. Unmoored Ego, I think, is good in this matchup. Veil of Summer. Possibly Negate. Possibly Planar Cleansing. There's a lot of good options. I don't think we want the Giants. Grazer's another card that don't love here. Yeah, I'm gonna try to board like this, see what happens. Well, having two of the same land is pretty awkward. We do have Once Upon a Time. I'm actually gonna keep this. Veil of Summer could be good. We don't know what our opponent's hand has in it. I'm just going to shock off this Temple Garden to represent the Veil. So we're looking for a blue land. So now we get to hold up Growth Spiral, Veil of Summer, Negate. So we can negate this to Fairy. And I think we just Growth Spiral again this turn. We could play to Fairy. Not going to. Now we can actually just land a Golos. If we want to. It does mean our opponent can Veil of Summer. I mean, we don't have Veil of Summer available to us. But they could also play a Doom, I guess. I think we just go for it. Really want to get a Field of the Dead while we have the opportunity to. Alright, so they have a Doom. We can bounce the Guild Globe, which would mean our opponent would have to sacrifice the Doom Foretold to itself.
I can no longer stand by and watch. No, I am not making this up as I go.
I guess I could have main phase Once Upon a Time in case we hit a Knight of Autumn. might have wanted to just Knight of Autumn that turn. I'm gonna Once Upon a Time right now. Alright. Golos is a pretty solid one to grab. We could Veil of Summer. Just to draw a card.
This isn't a fight.
I think that's pretty close. Our opponent had Duress. So maybe I should have done it, but it's kind of hard to predict that. They get to hit a Veil or a Teferi. Sure.
This might be a bad idea.
Wow, we drew on Mordigo. Don't know that we're actually casting it this turn.
I've got time.
Does seem like a nice card to draw, though. So we have 6 different lands. So we need another different land. I'm going to get Fabled Passage. And this gives us a really, really good board position. We don't have red mana. I guess that's the one downside. We can't actually activate the Golos. Which could have been a reason to get a red mana source, but if our opponent gets rid of the Golos, then we'd be in some trouble. We can also just... There's a few things we can do. Well, we attack and kill Teferi, we know that much. Then the follow-up is the tricky part.
This is hardly my worst defeat.
Like, we don't really want to play the second Teferi right now.
Oh, I've done the hero thing before.
Or the second Golos. Yeah, I'm just gonna pass. Still being careful about Kaya's Wrath. The fact that both of these are legendary means we're not in a huge rush. And we can sacrifice the Fabled Passage to get 2 more zombies. So that puts our opponent at 13, or 12 rather. We have 11 damage. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and scry with Castle Vantress. Don't think we want to draw, like, our best draw is here, like Krasis, something like that. Now we can use Teferi to bounce our Golos, because we have another one, so we're fine with this. I'm just gonna get another field. We have this Growth Spiral in hand, which we can cast on our opponent's turn. So actually, that's gonna be it. We can end of turn Growth Spiral, put this Hallowed Fountain into play if our opponent plays a sweeper. If they don't play a sweeper, they're just dead. So, I mean, they're just dead if they have a sweeper. They're still dead. Duress, sure. I guess they take our growth spiral now. We don't really want to growth spiral in response. So that is going to be the match. I think this is the Esper Stacks deck, which is what our opponent was playing. It's a deck that really impressed me in the early goings of this format until the Golos deck became popular. I really, really liked the matchup for Golos. I think Golos is definitely a favorite. Like, you could see there was a few different choices I had to make, but we were ahead the whole time. We were able to create an overwhelming board, and it's pretty similar to how the Scapeshift decks played out in the previous format. You don't have Scapeshifts, but still having Field of the Dead, plenty good enough with Golos. Yeah, Plaza of Harmony, one of the can be an awkward land, depends. But also a pretty big upside land in the deck. I'm gonna try this. Yeah, we're gonna try this one. It's got, you have to keep some hands that the mana isn't perfect. Like with this hand. The question is, what do we want to get with the Fabled Passage? Because we do want blue mana and green mana. We don't have either of them yet. If we Fabled Passage this turn, we could Grazer next turn. Have 3 lands in play. Yeah. It's a bit of a gamble to play it here. I guess I might not sacrifice it. It depends. Depends what our opponent does. But if they play, yeah, they're playing a 2-drop, and just having the Grazer out is really pretty valuable. So we're taking the gamble a little bit, but Grazer's gonna get way worse. If we don't cast it here, and we drew the card we wanted. One of the cards we were looking for, at least. So that we can play Teferi next turn if we would like to. Which we're probably going to. One play we can make is we can bounce our own Grazer to get an additional land into play. Or we can bounce the Leafkin Druid.
Sorry I'm late.
Which I think is very, very reasonable as well. Yeah, let's just bounce the Druid. Hopefully it sets our opponent back a little bit.
Like it.
Had I known we were going to draw Simic Guildgate, I probably would have bounced Grazer. Because it would be the perfect land to put into play off of a Grazer trigger. But this wasn't already in our hand. Okay. Cavalier of Thorns. Our opponent's playing a Bant Elemental Ramp style deck. I think we're just casting Once Upon a Time. Although there's not a huge benefit to doing it right now. Could also just play another Teferi.
I'll protect you.
Yeah. Let's do that.
If you show remorse, I'll show restraint.
I'm actually just going to bounce the Cavalier
Let's try this.
to try to slow our opponent down a little bit. We can play a 4/4 Krasis next turn. Tough decisions, tough decisions. Ooh. Was not expecting that. Well, that's a problem. The Great Henge. Uh-oh. That is a pretty powerful card here.
Trust me, I have a plan.
I might, because we drew the Grazer, I might actually not Krasis and just go for Once Upon a Time and play a slower game. So now we get to put all of these lands out. And we get to Krasis for even more next turn than we would have this turn. We get to play a 6/6 Krasis, which actually, it holds up okay against the Cavalier, but I guess the Cavalier is going to get a counter from the Great Henge. So, yeah, the Great Henge could win our opponent this game. I was feeling quite good before that card came down, but this is just a super, super grindy card. Okay. That's fine. Our opponent's gonna go ahead and cast off. Clear this board. Could be worse. So it's kind of like a Bant control-ish list. We see Planar Cleansing as well. It's a really interesting deck that our opponent's playing. Lots of different cards we have to think about, I guess, for future games. Because we drew a land, we could play the land, but if we draw another Field of the Dead, we really want to be able to play it. So I think I'm just going to play this as a 6/6. But it cannot attack through the Cavalier if we do this. That's the downside to it. So I guess playing it as a 7/7, it certainly has value as a 7/7. To be able to attack. All right, let's go for the 7/7. I'm not sure. I think it's close. Alright, well, we didn't draw the field. So I guess we're happy we played it as a 7/7. figured there would be some Risen Reefs in here. So our opponent can kind of just draw infinite cards. Question is what they're going to be able to do with all these cards. Like if we find another... Actually, we can bounce our Krasis as well. With Teferi Time Raveler. If we want to. Because that is up to 3 loyalty now.
I'm certain you're quite charmed to meet me.
Oko. So what will our opponent do with that?
Your new look is enchanting.
So they're going to turn the food into a 3/3. Okay. Not really sure I understand this attack. I'm just gonna block. They get to get something back. We'll see what they get back. Planner cleansing, sure. I mean, if our opponent's planner cleansing on this board, not really that unhappy about that. I'm gonna attack, send the Krasis at Oko.
Fine.
So we get to kill that. I kind of want to bounce the Krasis for some more value.
Oh, I've done the hero thing before.
I'm actually just going to play this as an 8/8, I think. Or as a 6/6 rather. Because that way we can grow Spiral as well this turn. We were pretty likely to find another Field of the Dead, which we did. Okay. Agent of Treachery. That's gonna take the Field of the Dead. That's bad news. Yeah, that is very annoying. And our opponent set up a situation where they can actually rebuy the agent. We may be trying to deck our opponent at this point, honestly. They've actually turned on Field of the Dead, which is pretty impressive. We can use our Realm Cloak Giant. The problem is the Cavalier of Thorns, really. That's the biggest problem. It's the biggest problem for us. Because if everything dies, they can get back Agent of Treachery. And then take another Field of the Dead. So maybe we just don't do much of anything here. Make our opponent make the first move. They're running out of cards in deck. In fact, now they're down to only 6. They're 6 cards left in their deck. But the Cavaliers can put cards on top of their deck. So they can... If the Cavaliers die, they get to put something on top, which is pretty bad for us. So they might just go ahead and Planar Cleansing. I don't know. So you get the Growth Spiral. Get some more blockers here. Our opponent might actually mill out to this Agent of Treachery. Because they're forced to draw 3. But we might have to... This is really an odd game. We might have to wrap this board. I'm just gonna block some of everything. So they have this agent triggered. But there's the draw 3. So we could play... We could just get a ton of zombies here. Or we can Realm Cloak Giant, which would mean the Cavaliers trigger. Yeah. I think we just have to do this. I'm interested to see. And I guess they have the Great Henge, which is another way that they can potentially mill out. So I think that's our main game plan is having our opponent mill out at this point. They're gonna get back mass manipulation and agent of treachery. And I've been careful about trying to hold some resources in hand. I am going to circuitous route. But we're running low on lands, unfortunately. So this last circuitous route can only get one thing. So that's going to be it. I want to see what our opponent does. Okay, so they're forced to draw a card, which is big. Probably going to take a Field of the Dead. But now they control 2 of our Fields of the Dead, so the Agent of Treachery still isn't triggering. I was thinking they might Planar Cleansing to wipe the tokens off the board and to get rid of the Great Henge. So that's why I didn't commit more here. Now, however, we're going to cast this Realm Cloak Giant that we have. And just play some stuff. This is probably enough stuff so that we're not dying. Yeah. Although they can mass manipulation. They can mass manipulation. So maybe that means that we have to play more. Let's see. How much mana do they have? 6, 10, 14, 18? So it could take... Yeah, we have to play more stuff, I think. Yeah, I'm just gonna go all in. Because our opponent only has 2 cards left in their deck. And we're just hoping to mill them out. There's a couple different ways we can do it. So one play they can maybe make is to try to win next turn. Like mass manipulation this turn and then somehow get rid of that Agent of Treachery. Because the Agent of Treachery is now a huge liability for our opponent. And I'm sure that's what they're thinking about right now. Alright, we got the turn back. So we just play a Breeding Pool and pass, and our opponent draws their last card. I guess we'll see what happens. Alright, so they're gonna mass manipulation for as much as they possibly can, I guess. But I don't think it's enough. Just with the mass manipulation alone. It's a crazy, crazy game. I mean, our opponent had so much card drawing and card advantage that it felt like the main way to win was going to actually be milling. I think this is just short. Yeah, we go to 2. And then our opponent loses to that agent trigger. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. That was quite the game. Quite the game. Still processing that one. Also thinking about how we should sideboard. Is March of the Multitudes any good? I'm more ego. We may want Planner Cleansing of our own. Negate. It's a possibility. We don't actually have that many cards that stand out to me here as great options. Yeah, I'm actually not in love with our sideboard for this matchup. Our opponent has a little bit of everything, so I think we're just trying to be as explosive as we possibly can with getting our Field of the Dead engine online. I'm gonna keep no green source, but still a playable hand. I don't think it's really ever right to do this end of turn. Our opponent should almost certainly wait till they draw before Once Upon a Timing. Alright, we do agree. We drew a green. It does come into play tapped. We're going to top the Once Upon a Time because we haven't played any spells this game. So that's... We can actually cast that for the alternate cost on our turn. They're going to gain a little bit of value, but we can try to set up Realm Cloak Giant. I'm just going to play Field of the Dead and pass. Because we can Growth Spiral. We can Once Upon a Time, which potentially gets us land. Alright, well, our opponent has plenty of mana, which could be bad news for us. So I guess the question is, do we Realm Cloak Giant now, or just Circuitous Route? Let the Risen Reefs stay in play. Because our opponent might be out of elementals to trigger those. We don't know. I guess I'm gonna Circuitous Route. So we know about how much card advantage our opponent's deck has. So we might not want to fight them on the card advantage axis. Okay. Alright, well that's just worst case scenario for us. Well, I'm gonna attack. Not sure that's gonna do that much. We could bounce the Great Henge. Could also just play Golos here. If we had one more land, it would be much easier to decide what to do. I think I'll just play Golos. Let our opponent go off a little bit. They basically get to draw as many cards as they want at this point. Similar to the first game. Still have the Realm Cloak Giant as a possible play. We could also Teferi Bant Golos. We could activate Golos. Could also just play a big Krasis of our own. Yeah. Kind of like that. Yeah, I'm gonna play a big Krasis.
I know my responsibility. I've got it.
Every tale about me is absolute nonsense. And absolutely true. Oh dear.
This really is just like each player doing their own crazy thing, seeing whose is better. Our opponent has so much card advantage in their deck. It's just pretty hard to stop them from drawing as many cards as they want, which is pretty frustrating. So the Krasis comes in. I guess we kill this Cavalier. We'll see what our opponent gets back with it. $22 cards in our opponent's deck. They're going to get back Once Upon a Time. Probably looking for that Agent of Treachery. Again. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and Realm Cloak Giant. I guess I should attack first.
That didn't go according to plan.
Technically, they could have a counterspell. I'm just gonna, but we only have 2 white. I'm just gonna do this now and hope they don't have a counter. Could have negate. Ugh. Alright, they had it. So we're not sweeping the board this turn. Can just Teferi bounce the Krasis. That might be the play. Unless they have another counter here. Alright, so they had double negate. Even if we had led on Teferi, that would have gotten negated. So I think this sequence of events was pretty much always going to happen. We still have a Planner Cleansing in Ardak, which could be a nice reset button. Alright, well, they found the agent. That's going to take a Field of the Dead. No? That's interesting.
Let's slow this
I'm really surprised they took their...
I'll protect you.
They're going after the zombies. I guess we're at 10. They might just have lethal. Yeah, they might just have lethal.
Right on schedule. Here we go.
I invite you to change your ways.
Yeah, it's exactly 10. I think. Alright, well, we have a game 3 on our hands. We have a game 3. I could also board into Gates or Veil of Summer is another option. Maybe these are cards we want. Unmoored Ego. Not sure about that one. I'm gonna cut a couple Grazers and another Giant on the play. I guess Veil of Summer also counters the Agent. So yeah, we're gonna play with the Veils and the Negates. Probably should have boarded like this for game 2. It just sucks that those cards get nullified by Teferi, basically. Like, if our opponent has a Teferi on board, they really don't do much. So we can Once Upon a Time hope for a green land. This is a sketchy one. I'm going to try it. It doesn't actually feel like a great matchup because our opponent's trying to go completely over the top of us, which it seems like maybe they have the ability to do that. I'm just going to main phase Growth Spiral to make sure it resolves, because we really just needed to curve out here and hit lands, draw lands. Alright. Guess I'll tick this up, because next turn we can down tick.
This might be a bad idea.
Oh, there's a swamp. Well, that's unexpected. Oh god, they're just gonna take out our fields. That's yeah, probably game. Probably game here. All right, let's draw a card.
I've got time.
I guess we're casting a circuitous route. Not sure the Crisis beatdown is going to be enough. That's pretty much all we got.
That's more like it.
I guess I'll route again before we Crisis. Because we might want a Planner Cleansing. Oh, did I guess I mistapped there. That's awkward. I thought they were gonna leave up blue mana. I meant to leave up blue for the growth spiral. Clearly, that was the plan. Alright, well, we get the Veil of Summer here.
Well, that didn't pan out. No! I am not making this up as I go!
Question is, how much do we care about these creatures? I kind of want to Realm Cloak Giant this turn. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Because we don't want our opponent to be able to bounce the agent. That would pretty much be the nightmare. Although Cavalier can get it back. Cavalier can get Agent back from the graveyard. I guess Agent isn't actually that insane here. Just play a Crisis. Not gonna bounce this turn. Because we don't really want to have to discard to hand size, and the Crisis can block.
Who's more foolish? The fool, or the fool who rules them? I think a little merriment is in order.
And this is way better for us as it's turning out.
try this.
Negate. Okay, so we even though we got egoed, we actually have a pretty decent shot at this one. I'm gonna take out the Oko.
You're too close-minded.
I think we just cast the Realm Cloaked Giant. This allows us to hold up negates. Growth Spiral once upon a time. What to discard? Actually, yeah, I'm just gonna discard the Once Upon a Time. We're drawing with all these Crasises and the card draw. We're digging through our deck really well. Agent of Treachery. Number 2. That sucks. I guess I could Growth Spiral in response in case we hit our other Veil of Summer. But then we don't have Negate up, so I'm not sure if it's right. Well, this is actually a pretty good board if we want to use our other Realm Cloak Giant. Yeah, let's do that. Cast off, I should say. The nice, sweet animation here. We can actually replay this as well. Does mean negate mana is not available.
Don't worry, I got this.
But it puts us close to killing our opponent. Wow, they just shocked themselves, so they're just dead on board. That was... Oh no, they're not, because they have the food. Alright, well let's Krasis for... We draw another Teferi. We just win right here. Never easy, is it? So our opponent can put any of these cards on top of their deck. I think that's fine. We're still gonna attack. I guess since they scried, they can't sack the food. So that is the game. Wow. What a match there. Alright, I'm gonna play one more. That was a long one. Definitely a long one. The matches in this format they can get crazy. They can get really, really crazy. Games can draw out. Yeah, we're gonna keep the 7. Pretty good 7. Can lead on Once Upon a Time, then go Grazer. Turn 1. I think we want Krasis here, just to have some gas for later. Not sure we want to scry yet. Alright, I'm going to scry. Pretty solid first turn. We're looking for something like a circuitous route, growth spiral. That's why I put that Fable Passage on the bottom. Get another scry here. Field of the Dead would be okay. Thought Erasure? Yeah, alright, well that sucks. They're gonna take the Krasis. So we're playing against the Esper Stacks deck again. This time our hand... Well, it looked good to start. Now it's not looking good. Okay. Let's get this. So now we have all 5 colors of mana. We need like a Krasis, a Golos. We're gonna need something. Something to get this hand moving.
Here goes nothing.
I guess I'll just cast a Realm Cloak Giant. This rarely happens, but it can. It can happen. No Field of the Dead, no Golos, no Krasis. No nothing, pretty much. So they're gonna go for a small dance, just to get a little bit of card advantage.
am not making this up as I go.
Okay, there's Golos. That's something. Might just get wrathed, but I mean, if we top deck a Krasis, I think that's like we have to play to our outs, and that is our primary out at this point. I think.
Oh, I've done the hero thing before. I am not going to.
Just gonna submit 0.
I've got it. This might be a bad idea.
Opponents tanking with pretty much in the... I mean, they pretty much can't lose unless we draw a Krasis or something here. They're just too far ahead.
Trust me, I have a plan.
Not the best draws. Think we'll just get rid of the Murder's Rider because we can.
I'll protect you. I suppose that's how it was meant to happen.
Okay. It's actually a pretty good one. We can activate it.
I know my responsibility.
I think we bounce the Golos back.
Let's try this.
I guess we can play the other Teferi as well.
If you show remorse, I'll show restraint. I've got time.
If we had left a green up, could have even played this Grazer. That was quite the turn. We have all 4 copies of Field of the Dead now. So after doing nothing for ever, basically, we have a little something going. I mean, we're hoping to force a Wrath. Thought Erasure is going to take Golos. I mean, we have 21 damage in play. So I think our opponent needs to Wrath.
Here we go.
Oh no, we have 14 damage. What am I talking? We have 14, not 21. I was thinking, I don't even know what I was thinking. We have 14 damage, so they could play an Oath of Kaya. Was not expecting just Murderous Rider and passing. Alright, well, let's send at least some of these at Fairy. I think we want Teferi gone because we want to be able to circuitous route here on end step.
Let me know if you're up for round 2.
We might actually get this.
Don't worry, I got this.
We're hoping for no sweeper. So they're going to go up to 12. That's fine. I think we just win here. Get to the circuitous route. Get 2 lands. We get eight triggers, which is going to be 8 more tokens. I am shocked. Wow, I'm stunned. I did not think we were going to win that one. Ooh, wow. Okay. So we somehow got there. Don't know how. Don't ask me how, but we got there. I mean, with a lot of mana, we had a lot of mana, that's for sure. Eventually, we were able to take advantage of it with those that Golos activation. Play Golos, activate it, hit a field, and double to Fairy. I mean, that was a turning point. Yeah, I think we keep. We have a Scryland, which we're looking for more lands. The Knight can be good against the Doom. It's the other enchantments. This is not a fast hand, though. Definitely not a fast hand. Curious what our opponent's going to select. So we got a lot going on. I mean, they're probably not going to take Golos or Krasis because we've got pretty good top end once we get our mana situated. I think that makes sense to take the route. I'm just going to play Blossoming Sands because I'm not sure what we're scrying for yet. Rather wait on the scry. So we're going to get to hold up Negate next turn, I think. Do not want that. And our opponent knows about the Negate, but the Doom deck is mostly non-creature spells. So I'm just going to continue to hold it up. Could play Teferi. I'm gonna wait one turn and just hold up Negate again. So will our opponent run something out? Once Upon a Time is an interesting draw. We can try to find an untapped land off of it. I think that's our plan. I think I'm just gonna take the card.
That's more like it.
While we have the chance to grab it. Knowing that our opponent could play a Doom here.
Trust me, you'll thank me later.
Probably just gonna bounce the Skill Globe.
No, I am not making this up as I go.
Finally get to play Golos.
Here goes nothing.
So, Field of the Dead is out. It's another late game situation where
I've got it.
both players have a lot of cards, so it's a dangerous spot. Like 7 cards in hand is so many cards for our opponent. We're the most worried about dance at this point. Dancing. You know, dance is a bit of an issue. I'm thinking I might just want to activate Golos. Yeah, let's fire off an activation. Pretty good stuff here. Guess we cannot play this Plains.
Oh, I've done the hero thing before. Now what?
But the circuitous route plus land. We didn't have a land drop, so that was overall pretty good for us. Force the Kaya's Wrath. Ooh.
I wonder what will
That's a problem.
behold
Double Field of the Dead gone as well. Wow.
a nightmare.
Oh my god. Well, I was feeling good right up until that moment when that Ashiok came down. Veil of Summer. Could just drop a knight in there. So, question is, do they have another Kaya's Wrath, I guess?
This might be a bad idea.
So, destroying one of these artifacts doesn't do that much. I'm just going to put the 2 counters on it. We can also bounce the knight back to our hand with Teferi, potentially. I mean, another Kaya's Wrath is pretty devastating for us, or a sweeper effect. Also, Dance is really good here, because our opponent has 8 lands, which is kind of the magic number. I guess I'll Veil of Summer. stops the mill. Now, unfortunately, we have to sack something. I guess I'll just sack the knight. So you could go bounce, knight, could also just deal with these three. And then our opponent has to sack something to the...
Let's try this.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this.
Sorry I'm late.
This line I'm taking.
Trust me, I have a plan.
Like, I could have just got rid of the Doom. I'm not sure if it would have been better.
I leave you.
We will meet again.
My dreams dissipate like smoke.
This could be for a sweeper. That'd be my guess.
Here we go.
I think I'll just play a Crisis. 2, 4, 6. I'm gonna play up. Play for 8. Also, the Ashiok stops the talisman as well. I forgot to mention that. We have 13 cards left. Question is, do we Veil of Summer here? Yeah, maybe I should have done it before. But so since we veiled, I'm just gonna keep the negate in
I'm
hand.
known for my excellent timing.
Then that's our last counter spell. Last copy negate. I should have actually Once Upon a Time there as well. That was a mistake, but probably won't matter. No. It's just kind of gambling that our opponent didn't have another Wrath.
I've got time.
So not really anything we can do here. The Ashiok stops also the Fabled Passage as well. I guess I could have cast another Once Upon a Time. Or activated Golos. But once again, our library with only 10 cards left. Not the best situation to be in.
This might be a bad idea.
So if they've got more Wraths in their deck, we're in a lot of trouble. You know what? That was a mistake. I should have... No. I guess it was a mistake. There's nothing I can do about that.
I really should have seen that coming.
They might be thinking about whether they're gonna use this Ashiok here. They did not uptick to Fairy, because they bounced. So that means they cannot cast sorceries on our turn, which is a little something. And there's a Gaea's Wrath. Nine cards in our deck. I'm just going to play this as a 3/3. Almost certainly we're going to go to a game 3 here.
only time. It's only a matter of
It
time.
has been a nightmare.
Yep. Game 3. Ashiok's annoying. Very annoying. Don't think it changes our overall game plan. Or our sideboard plan, rather. But without that Ashiok, I think we could have maybe fought through the dance. But with the Ashiok, shutting off the ability to search our deck and the Kaya's Wraths, it was really the perfect combination of cards for our opponent. So, well done. I think they sideboarded well. They came prepared. And it felt like that game they had what they needed to win. Our hand was also pretty slow. Didn't get off to a great start. The negate ended up being a little bit awkward for us. Keep this. Just gonna lead on the Golgari Guildgate. Only 5 cards for our opponent, so that is very good news. We kind of want white mana. Yeah, let's just get the Tranquil Cove here. I think we play to Fairy. I guess there's some chance we're supposed to hold for one more turn on Teferi. So that we have Veil of Summer available to us. And maybe this represents negate, so it could stop our opponent from wanting to cast something. Fortunately, they're just going to go for this Ashiok.
Scream. Surrender your agony to me.
It's rare, you only have one card you can get.
stand by and watch. I'll protect you.
So we're holding up the Veil of Summer. Not being able to search our library is definitely rough. Okay, that's something. I think I'll draw a card here.
That's more like it.
Okay. So we can just cast this knight as a 4/4. Our opponent, based on the way we've been tapping and stuff, our opponent probably realizes that we have Veil of Summer in hand at this point. But I guess they're going to run out the Thought Erasure regardless. Just going to cast the Golos, even though we can't search our library. Because it does, it is somewhat threatening to be able to activate it. Activate Golos. They might end up wrathing this turn. But we're going to start getting our Field of the Deads going. Oh, no wrath. Well, that's best case scenario.
Remember, your nightmares remain.
So we could activate Golos. Not sure that we want to, though. I'm actually just gonna pass and grow Spiral.
Don't worry.
We've already played a land, so there's not like that many great hits off Golos. And we can, yeah, being able to grow Spiral, put the field, and sacrifice Fabled Passage. I guess we didn't need to do any of that, but Ashok's a good card, but it doesn't straight up beat you. So anyways, that was the video. I think this is one of, if not the top deck in the format right now. So, crazy games. This format has become really interesting in terms of gameplay. Lots of decisions. Definitely recommend picking this deck up if you want a nice, strong ramp style Field of the Dead deck. Thanks for watching, everyone.